The Commerce Society of SRCC holds great pride to launch its podcast, The Bigger Picture, where we will be discussing current buzz in the fields of finance, commerce, technology, and much more. So gear up as we show you the bigger picture.
On today's episode of The Bigger Picture, our guest speaker is Ms. Isha Salania, who is a cloud solution architect for Azure, supporting data and AI functions at Microsoft. And we will be discussing about the very trending AI platform, ChatGPT. Ma'am, it's a great pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ever since it was launched, there has been a buzz around this popular AI platform called ChatGPT. We've seen people seeking answers from ChatGPT with regard to innumerable problems. So, can you please tell us what exactly is ChatGPT?
Yes. So ChatGPT is an open AI platform that's developed by OpenAI. And essentially what it's doing is making use of deep learning algorithms to generate human-like text, hence the name chat. And it's trained around massive loads of data until the year 2021 that's been on the internet, that's been in the videos, and all of that. And with that, ChatGPT can include things like conversational behavior, text summarization, and other AI functionality.
Ma'am, so when we talk about the technology, what technology does ChatGPT actually use to provide such solutions? What are the sources that it uses?
Yeah, so absolutely. So in terms of the sources, as I have already mentioned, it has used internet data up until the year 2021. So essentially, it's taking everything from the internet. Plus, I believe there are some databases, whether that's medicinal databases and other relevant things such as videos, and it's been trained on all of that data. And not just that, so it's basically making use of neural networks. So the underlying technology of ChatGPT, when we say that it's using AI, actually, to be more specific, it's using neural networks and machine learning. And that's mostly done through supervised learning. So that's why ChatGPT keeps enhancing itself, and it also keeps learning with everything that you give it. It's because of the machine learning and the neural networks that are embedded in the entire platform. So yeah.
So I think it would be fair to conclude that there is a lot of hype around this platform. What do you think has led to such rapid growth and popularity of this platform?
So I would say probably the most important thing is that for the first time, we have a technology that is so understandable and easy to use by almost anybody. Because of the chat-like format that ChatGPT has, anyone from anywhere can just, type in a question, same as what you would do on Google, and just put the input and then get an amazing answer, right? Because when you Google something, you actually have to go through the different websites and look for the solution yourself. But in ChatGPT, it's giving it to you right then and there. So I think the hype around it is, for the first time, you're asking a question and you're able to get a complete solution without having to put any effort in like you would do in Google search. So in Google search, as I mentioned, you kind of have to scroll down. Maybe this question has been asked on another website and then Google links to it. But other than that, what you see on Google is just a bunch of articles that may or may not have the answer to what you're asking. So the hype around ChatGPT is that for the first time, there is something that talks in a way directly to you in a chat form, right? So it's almost like having a conversation with anyone that might be a subject expert, because ChatGPT is trained on all the things that are on the internet. So, whatever you ask that has been talked about on the internet, ChatGPT would be able to provide you information on that. So yeah, I think that's what has led to the hype. I mean, if we look at it, I think it was launched somewhere in November, and already now it has more than 2
Yeah.
million, 3 million users, right? So you can see people adopting it very fast, and it's, as a student, this is amazing because you don't really have to think anymore when it comes to doing your homework. And it takes, a blink of a second to find the solution on ChatGPT rather than going to Google, for example.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I do agree with the fact it provides you with the right solution rather than as compared to Google, where we have a wide set of information and we have to filter it out. So,
Exactly.
yeah, coming through this only, there are numerous AI platforms like Murph, Jasper AI. But what is so unique about ChatGPT? Even these are like AI platforms, but
Yeah.
how they have created so much that it stands out completely.
So I think the one thing that makes it stand out is the amount of information and data that ChatGPT has been trained on. It's an immense amount of data that this algorithms, like the machine learning algorithm that ChatGPT uses, it's a really big data set. And I think the difference to the platforms that you have just mentioned, so Jasper AI, I know that I think, if I remember correctly, only use 10% of the entire internet data. So it's very specific, but ChatGPT itself uses, I think, around 90% of the internet information up until 2021. So I think that's the biggest thing that sets ChatGPT apart from the platforms mentioned, is because it's all in one package rather than it being something very specific. Because I think Jasper AI is something very specific to maybe writing blogs or essays or whatever. ChatGPT can write code for you. ChatGPT can solve mathematical problems, make a presentation, also write a blog, summarize anything, look up the article's name. So like you could even, like, for example, if you have to read an article, you could even put in, oh, this is the author, this is the name, and if it's written before 2021, it can actually just go look that up and summarize it for you. And I think that's what other platforms are. They aren't there yet technology wise. And I think it also, one other important aspect is the investment of Microsoft in it. I think because they have the capital. And one thing that is clear to us from ChatGPT is that it requires immense computing power. It requires a lot of electricity. A lot of servers are needed for something like this to happen. Any one question that you write on ChatGPT requires at least, I don't know the numbers, but it's a lot of electricity that's going in per second, and the computing power that's needed is immense. So to have the investment from Microsoft, of course, and have the capital, because it is actually running on Azure. So ChatGPT is running on Azure, which is the cloud platform from Microsoft. I think that also sets it apart, mostly because you can't scale something like this as a small AI company unless you have funding from the big tech, only because it's so capital intensive. So the mechanism behind it, yes, we're talking about all the machine learning algorithms and all of this, but all of this requires a lot of computing power, and it requires a lot of electricity and servers up and running. I mean, you guys must have come across the page where it says ChatGPT is at capacity right now, and that
Yeah, I
yeah.
face that problem. Yeah.
Exactly. And that capacity thing is essentially them trying to scale up their servers and their computing power as more and more requests are being generated. So yes, there is a little limitation as of now, which is gone, by the way, because I think last week they announced the premium version of ChatGPT.
Yeah, they did. I heard about it.
Yeah, which is, I think it's like $20 a month. And I think they're using this funding in a way, or the revenue from that, to basically scale up and use more servers and have more computing power.
Yeah.
So I think
Also,
that's what, yeah.
you mentioned Microsoft teaming up with ChatGPT. So, what exactly are we looking forward to in this regard?
Yes, I was hoping you would ask that question.
Yeah, I
So
had that in my mind.
so actually, coming from Microsoft, I can already tell that as employees, we already have access to some of the features that not everyone has. And what we're looking at it, and this is already announced, is that every single Microsoft product will have integration with ChatGPT. So Microsoft Teams, Excel, Word documents, all of this will have integration with ChatGPT. I can also confirm that last week, again, we announced Teams Premium. And basically what Teams Premium has is this integration, smart integration with the GPT-3 model, which is essentially what ChatGPT is running on. So GPT-3 is the training. Remember, we were talking about the data and everything. So GPT-3 model is the underlying data, and ChatGPT is just the front end, or it's just the front end application. So Teams, I can give you an example. So for example, if I'm in a Teams meeting and I say, so let's schedule a meeting for next week, Thursday. So it automatically shows me a proposed meeting invite within Teams itself. So right when I'm speaking it, or even when I'm writing it down, so I just noticed it because I was texting a colleague and I was like, oh, should I schedule a meeting for Thursday? And then Teams already showed me the possible times automatically by checking his calendar and my calendar and suggesting the time for Thursday. So I thought that was already pretty cool. So
That's such a powerful tool to have.
Exactly. I think everything is going to become a lot more smarter, or the applications we use will become way more smarter through this integration, at least in the Microsoft suite. So as working efficiently is essentially their goal. I mean, think about what could happen if Excel has integration with ChatGPT, right? There's a lot of people we could get rid of, data analysts that we could get rid of.
Yeah.
But those
Also,
are some things you can look at. Yeah.
You mentioned about ChatGPT being a powerful tool for students. So could you throw more light on how is it a utility tool for students?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the biggest one is the learning. So let's say you as a student have a question. You don't have a teacher around you. You don't have your friend around you. You can just ChatGPT it. So it can be any complex problem as long as it's available on the internet. And I'm sure for students, all the content that you're learning in university, all the content you've learned in school is available on the internet. And so I believe that it's really a game changer when it comes to learning, because I was stuck with some coding problem. I just put in my code, ask it, what exactly is wrong, right? And this is something you can't really do sitting at home unless you have a teacher or a tutor with you. So I think learning becomes way more smarter. I think you don't even need a tutor at this point, because you can really learn smartly by using smart technologies like ChatGPT. The next thing that would be impacted is when you're studying, you're doing a lot of research. And sometimes the main way universities do their research, especially for theses, is just by scanning the internet, looking for articles on the internet. With a tool like ChatGPT, it can reduce your time when it comes to finding relevant articles in your domain. You still have to do the work. You still have to read all the articles. But what I'm saying is you don't have to sit there Googling your topic, downloading the PDFs and figuring out which is relevant, which is not. You can just be like, oh, I'm writing my thesis on, or I'm conducting a research on this and this topic. Give me the relevant sources of articles up until, I don't know, 2020. And ChatGPT will create a bibliography, will give you the sources of the relevant topics with its name. So I think those are two of the major things that are seeing impact. But also, I would say other things like class projects when it comes to giving presentations, creating posters, even ChatGPT can really, set the stage, so to say. So if you're saying, I want to make a presentation on ChatGPT, you can tell ChatGPT, to propose slides. What topics should the slides be about? Yeah, all of that. And so I think those would be the main utility for students. Really working smarter and not harder is really what ChatGPT seems to be putting out there. And if you're a student and you know how this works, I think it can really give you a really good edge amongst other people that are there. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can agree that how ChatGPT is indeed creating an impact.
Yeah.
So in general, how do you think AI is shaping our world? What kind of impact is it creating on our lives?
To be very honest, I think that it's dumbing down people. Believe me when I say that, because when you know that ChatGPT can write and answer all your emails, and when you know, oh, it can actually do your homework, you stop thinking. And I think that, to be very honest, I have felt that as well lately. That, for example, I'm living in Germany and I do speak fluent German, but sometimes, you're too lazy to respond to an email in another language. I just put that email in ChatGPT and I told it, oh, reply with agreeing to the statement and whatever. And it just did it for me. So I didn't have to think so much. So I think AI right now, if especially talking with ChatGPT, is impacting people in the way that they are losing their ability to think or imagine in the short run, at least. So think about all the jobs that are being impacted right now. I think we'll come to that topic, but ChatGPT can write any code I tell it to write. If I want to create a website, ChatGPT can write a code for that. And there are people that are software developers that are making their whole life out of this. And
Exactly.
so you see, like, just having that experience in a way almost doesn't even count anymore, because ChatGPT is always going to be better than humans. Okay, not always. I take that back. It's not going to be always better. I'm just saying in terms of coding, it will, I think, most probably 90% more efficient than a human programmer, for example. So one is that's one point, and I think that's a very important point to address, is that we should not lose our creativity moving forward, especially as students. Anything bookish, anything to do with knowledge workers is becoming obsolete with ChatGPT. So I would really recommend that all students please focus on cultivating creativity, because the people that would succeed in the future would be creativity. It would not be people that can memorize books. It would not be people that can coding is different, but it won't be people that can just know book knowledge. I think it would really be people that are creative in nature, that exercise creativity in everything, because that is something AI cannot do yet. So I think what AI is doing is making our lives easier to some extent, of course. In a big aspect, it's making our lives very easy. It's also making us, not think too much. And in the broader sense, what it's also teaching us is that, anything with knowledge workers, anything with bookish knowledge or memorization is not going to work, because you need to be creative as a human in every single aspect. So I think that's how I see it shaping our world. 3 points. One of it is, just to summarize very quickly, dumbing down the population to some extent, making our life easy. That's basically dumbing us down. And the last one would be that teaching us how to be creative and not just, because we need to do something as humans that ChatGPT can't do, right? So yeah.
Just for the sake of advancement, I feel like we need to take the next step ahead.
Exactly. Yes.
Actually, my follow-up question was going to be the concerns that it is raising, but I feel like even though ChatGPT has transformed our lives, there are many downfalls to it. And I think we've covered it pretty well at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can just quickly conclude that from my side, at least in this topic, is I think we might see changes in jobs because people will work more efficiently. But I think AI will not be the ones replacing the jobs of people. I think it will be the people that know how to use AI that will be replacing the jobs of people that don't want to use AI. So I think that's a very important message. AI itself is not a threat. It's the people that would know how to use AI properly that would be a threat to the people that don't want to or don't know how to use it. So I think that's one important thing. Yes, we do see some, when it comes to making your life easy, you can clearly see ChatGPT is making your life easy. And in the short run, it can have an impact on the job force, decision making in every industry. Even in Microsoft, I would say that we are really rethinking right now of I think you might have heard that we are skimming down our workforce. And that's because of intelligent solutions like this, that we want to do more with less. And with technology that is this smart, you really can do more with less people. So it's really about having that cultivating culture of being as efficient as possible. And I think from a sustainability point of view, I would like to just raise one point that these smart AI things and concern does have an impact on our environment, right? I think I already mentioned that this computing power requires a lot of electricity. Requiring a lot of electricity means burning lots of fossil fuels. And just to give you a little thing, I just want to, because it's a candid podcast, I just want to ask you, both of you, why do you think that Venus, the temperature of Venus, the planet, is so much higher as compared to Mercury? So Mercury is the closest to the sun.
Yeah.
Venus's temperature is significantly way more higher than Mercury. Why do you think that is? Does anyone of you know that?
Frankly, no.
So the answer is that when Earth and Venus were formed a long time ago, Venus actually had carbon trapped in its layer. So the outer layer of Venus actually had layer of carbon, and for Earth, that carbon got into the ground, basically. So when we talk about fossil fuels or coal is, what is coal? It's basically carbon, right? So it's the carbon that was trapped inside the Earth's shell, basically. And for Venus, it was trapped in the atmosphere. So now when we as humans go dig up coal and we burn it, what are we doing? We're putting carbon in the air.
Yeah.
That's why global warming. That's why our temperatures are increasing. And it's only going to take a blink of time until we also turn like Venus and become inhabitable, right? So I think one other thing moving forward is these technologies use a lot of computing power, and we also have to think from a sustainability point of view for our Earth, because yes, you can make all the profit and money you want, but if you can't live here, then there's no point of that money.
Totally.
So yeah, just a little thought for just a little thought out there, and yeah, I think that would be all from my side.
Yeah, well, I can say that as much as it is convenient, it has a fair share of concerns that cannot be overlooked. I think with that, we come to the end of this discussion. And I feel like I have personally gained a lot of knowledge through this discussion. I feel like that's why it's very important for us to have these conversations from people who are actually working in these industries.
Yeah, it was a very insightful conversation indeed.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was a pleasure being here.
So thank you for tuning in for today's episode of The Bigger Picture. And special thanks to our guest speaker, Miss Isha Salania, for sharing her insights with us. Stay tuned for the next episode, and don't forget to follow the Commerce Society SRCC on Instagram and LinkedIn. Thank you so much, guys. It has been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.